Oh man, guys, I am back from my vacation. Oh, guys, you would not believe how many ways there are to get drunk when you... Did I get married? Huh, I'll roll with it. Anyway, hello and welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad comics burn. And behold, our final episode of Secret Origins, not a month. Yeah, using the old one because it's the Justice League music, and I haven't updated the visuals either, because I'm lazy. So, peek behind the curtains here. Before I decided to take my vacation and a Patreon-sponsored episode, the plan was to cover The Martian Manhunter and the Justice League for this year's Secret Origins month. We'll still probably get to J'onn J'onzz at some point, but let's face it, the Justice League movie just came out, and when I only do 3 Atop the Fourth Walls this month, capitalizing on the movie is a bit more of a priority. No, I haven't seen it yet, or maybe I did and I'm too drunk to remember. So yeah, let's talk to Justice League. After the success of reviving and rebooting both The Flash and Green Lantern for the Silver Age, reviving the Justice Society seemed like a surefire idea. Sure, not all the characters from that book had popular new interpretations, but Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman were all still around, and characters like the Martian Manhunter and Aquaman had long-running backup features that justified their inclusion. That being said, there was the name change. Editor Julius Schwartz thought that Society meant something you found on Park Avenue, while young readers would be more ready to accept a league because of the association with baseball leagues, which really didn't help the odd steroid scandals that the Justice League had to go through. Speaking of Batman and Superman's inclusions, you'll notice later that they're not on the cover. That's because the respective editors for both books feared overexposure of the characters would result in people buying less of their own titles. As evidenced by the sheer number of Batman-related books in the modern era, that kind of thinking doesn't really fly these days. The compromise was to leave them off the covers while still having them as full-time members, who were often doing other things, so they weren't actually involved in most of the action. And don't tell them that they're not full-time members, they get kinda snippy about it.
I don't have to do anything. I'm a part-timer, remember?
Eventually, the higher-ups at the company took notice and insisted they be on the covers and play a larger part. To connect it even more to the original JSA, the writer of the book was Gardner Fox, who was the original writer for the Justice Society when they started out. Was Gardner's work 20 years later on a similar yet still different team as good as the original? Well, let's find out as we dig into The Brave and the Bold, number 28, the debut of the Justice League of America. The cover is great, and another one of those classics that's instantly recognizable and easily homaged, featuring the 5 non-Superman and Batman heroes fighting a giant starfish. Evolution has cursed this creature by having its center be a giant bullseye. Then again, maybe the thing throws off your balance. After all, Green Lantern is literally on top of it, 2 feet away from the target, and can't shoot the middle. The world's greatest heroes team up to battle Starro the Conqueror. And also, these people are here for some reason. World's greatest heroes? Bah! I don't see Danny Chase anywhere. We open with the standard splash page before the main story with headshots of the characters, including the not contributing to this story twins. On that note, Batman, dude, resize your cowl. I don't think we're supposed to see that much of your nose. Also, nice white line over it too. It's like those old milk promotional posters with milk mustaches on celebrities, except Batman got confused where you drink it.
Look, Alfred, I touched my mother's breast, it bled on me, and now I can't drink milk like normal people. Just bear with me here.
Foes of evil, enemies of injustice, to the mighty heroes of the Justice League of America, all wrongdoing is a menace to be stamped out. Jaywalkers beware! The Justice League is here to flatten you with their boots. Whether it comes from outer space, from the watery depths of the seven seas, or springs full-blown from the minds of men. But not drug dealers. You see, drug dealers are over there, and Superman says that over there needs to handle its own problems. Banded together to fight all foes of humanity, the mightiest heroes of our time battle the menace of Starro the Conqueror! Do you really need Earth's mightiest heroes when Green Arrow alone can probably handle the alien with a big target on it? We open in the Atlantic coast, where Aquaman is being greeted by Peter the Pufferfish. There is no joke I can tell that would be better than the mere fact that Aquaman has a friend named Peter the Pufferfish. Can't wait to see how that gets adapted into the DC Cinematic Universe. My friend Peter the Pufferfish. Look at that pause. Even Aquaman can't believe that's a real thing. Is calling me and Great Neptune! What an incredible tale it is thought beaming at me! The true creator behind Finding Nemo. Peter tells Aquaman about how he witnessed a gigantic starfish fly down from the night sky and into the ocean. Then again, Peter is a notorious drunkard. The alien starfish naturally liked to monologue.
I have traveled across billions of miles of interstellar space, seeking a planet like this one, teeming with intelligent life.
Unfortunately, he was referring to Earth's gopher population. Following the starfish, Peter witnessed it continuing to talk, taking 3 regular starfish under its care.
I am Starro! I have selected you 3 starfish, who must be distant relatives of mine, to help me conquer this planet!
He just calls them distant relatives because he wants to borrow some money.
Suddenly, to my amazement, the 3 tiny starfish grew and changed, became replicas of Starro itself!
My powers are now your powers. You shall go where I send you. Do exactly as I command!
Alolan Staryu is weird. Having heard all this, Aquaman decides to summon the Justice League. Yep, it's another one of those first comics where they just decided to forget about showing how things started. He summons the League with the A on his belt. The ultrasonic vibrations caused by solar power on Aquaman's A-belt fan out across the Earth. I would just like to take this time to point out that Aquaman has a solar-powered vibrator sitting above his crotch. First to answer the summoning is Wonder Woman, who has to remind Steve Trevor that she can't marry him until my services are no longer needed to battle crime and injustice. In other words, Steve, she's just not into you. Give it up, man. Superman receives the signal, but he's in the middle of destroying giant asteroids that threaten to crash into Earth, so he says he can't make it to the meeting. Hal Jordan, on the other hand, receives the signal through his power ring while flying around in a jet. Aquaman's signaling me via my power ring. It'll only take a moment to switch from test pilot uniform to Green Lantern costume, and it'll only take me 2 seconds to crash this sucker. Woo! Actually, he somehow uses his ring to make the plane fly on its own for the remainder of its flight, because shut up, and we cut to Batman driving around in the Batmobile.
I'm getting the Justice League signal, just as I'm closing in on 2 arch-enemies who have joined forces to loot Gotham City. One Face has finally teamed up with Rock and Roll to form a deadly combination!
He thinks that he'll keep in touch if he's needed, but otherwise won't come until he's done what he was doing. Next up is the Flash, who manages to dissipate a tornado by creating counterwinds to it. Not sure how accurate that is, but whatever. It's off to the Martian Manhunter as he stands in the office of a police chief while in his human guise of John Jones right when he gets the call. My Martian super hearing is picking up a Justice League call. Wait, no, it's just a spam caller trying to get me to buy Justice League warranties. And so the group, minus Superman and Batman, gather in the modernistically outfitted cavern, which is their secret headquarters. And yet no foosball table? Aquaman briefs them on the situation, including where he suspects the starfish will strike. The group decides to split up to cover all three at once. Green Lantern flying over Rocky Mountain National Park. Wait, are the starfish hitchhiking from the Atlantic Ocean to Colorado? How the hell are they getting to a landlocked state? Wonder Woman and Martian Manhunter will head to Science City, ironically founded by practitioners of voodoo. Aquaman will patrol the sea in case Starro sends out any more agents, and the Flash will handle the other mission himself. This is pretty much the format of both the Justice Society and the Justice League books. Determine the menace, split up, then come back together for the ending. And first up, we see Green Lantern's fight against it. It seems that Starro gave the starfish the power to not only grow as immense in size as it, but also to fly, hence how it was able to get to the Rocky Mountain National Park from the Atlantic. Nearby, a jet bomber just happens to be flying over the area and spots it. What's that thing up ahead? Looks like a flying saucer from here. No, it's alive! I think it's a huge bird of some kind. I would question how one could think a starfish looks like a bird, but honestly, if there was a Birdemic 3, I wouldn't be surprised if they did put in a giant flying starfish. The starfish latches onto the plane, and the weapons they try to use on it are ineffective. Instead, it reaches inside the plane and snatches out an atomic bomb in its hold before moving off. You know, this might be a thing, I'm never sure about that, but is it wise for bomber planes to just be flying around the middle of the US with an atomic bomb in its hold? I mean, I hate rush hour traffic too, but it seems like overkill. Because of the damage the deputy caused to the plane, Green Lantern has to go after the bomber to keep it from crashing. He succeeds, then makes his way towards it. However, as he approaches, the starfish somehow detonates the atom bomb. While GL is knocked around a bit, the force field from his ring protects him from the blast, and instead of hurting it, the energy from the bomb is completely absorbed by the deputy. He's momentarily curious about why it did that, but as soon as he tries to attack it, the deputy is now able to shoot laser beams from its legs. However, Green Lantern hits its weak point for massive damage, and that somehow causes the atomic creature to shrink back to normal. It's an ordinary starfish. Again! I wonder how my fellow members are making out against the other Starros. Well, considering you're holding that thing in your hands and they aren't, chances are they're less sterile than you are, Hal. Next, it's over to 1D and Martian Manhunter, who are trying to save the Hall of Science in Science City. Where exactly this is unclear. I looked it up. There is a real Science City, an interactive attraction in Missouri, but that wasn't established until 1999. DC does have a place called Science City in Russia. And, you know, in 1960, I don't think they'd have written Hall of Science in English. In any event, this Starro deputy is taking the entire building and lifting it off the ground. Guys, this new SimCity looks fantastic.
The greatest scientific brains of the United States are gathered in that Hall of Science.
Dave Foley is inside, claiming he solved global warming by transferring excess heat to a parallel universe? What? Being basically duplicates of their master, the Starro deputies see fit to exposit their plans too.
My mission is to rob the brain power of the scientists inside this building.
Just wanted to let everyone know that. Nothing personal, guys. Starro puts everyone in the building into some form of suspended animation and flies them high into the atmosphere, but fortunately our heroes arrive to stop it. 1D tries to use the lasso of truth to pull Starro off of it, but ends up pulled off of the invisible plane instead. Martian Manhunter, however, has some better success. The remains of the asteroids that Superman is dealing with have begun falling into the atmosphere, allowing Jean to redirect them towards the deputy and forcing it to start withdrawing back to Earth. However, the speed it goes at is so bad that it somehow lights a wooden window frame on fire.
Fire! I grow weak around flames of any kind. I've got to put them out, or be overcome.
Don't worry, Jean. I know just the guy to call to ask about fire stuff.
Always cover damaged electrical cords with rugs or blankets. Fires can't start if they're not exposed to sunlight.
Nah, instead he draws a storm cloud over and gets the rain to take out the fire. Despite the implication earlier that absorbing the nuclear bomb is what gave it the power to fire atomic rays, apparently Starro can do that naturally as it tries to shoot at them. 1D is able to deflect the atomic rays with her bracelets, but Jean has to rip a bit of lead shielding from the science building to protect him.
The lead shields me from the harmful radiation of those nuclear beams. I could have been radioactive! That couldn't have been good!
They free the building from the starfish's grasp and get it to land safely, Jean managing to punch the alien in the eye enough times to defeat it. After a little educational page about starfishes and how they generally don't clone themselves and fire atomic rays, it's time for the Flash to take on a deputy. He arrives in the town of Happy Harbor, where the starfish is floating over it. Nearby, a teenager named Snapper Carr is working on his lawn. Snapper gets his unique name for the fact that he randomly snaps his fingers all the time like a beatnik.
Man, this grass mat is the coolest. Wait till Daddy-O casts his orbs on it.
Look, Daddy-O doesn't care about your lawn. He's too busy hiking up his pants. However, he soon notices that his entire family is walking outside in a trance, joining with other townspeople who hypnotically begin walking.
Dig that crazy pinwheel. What bit is it playing in this spectacular?
It's offering millions of dollars to people who don't use slang with every other sentence. Notice how it's not giving you any. Everyone is approaching the Starro deputy.
People of Happy Harbor, you are under my mental control. I am pleased to announce the opening of this new mega mall.
However, it senses that Snapper isn't under its control and prepares to blast him with its atomic rays. Fortunately, the Flash runs in and rescues the teen. He asks Snapper why he isn't affected by the trance like everybody else.
I don't know, Flash. Man, I'm bugged. I'm really swinging casting orbs on you like this, Flash. Like I'm having a happy mare, you dig?
Whenever I'm in the room, you're definitely not allowed to talk.
Realizing what a terrible mistake it was to try to talk to Snapper, Flash runs off to try to deal with the starfish. He runs rapidly around it, creating a vortex that forces it to rapidly spin, but the deputy instead flies off in search of water, trying to hide from the Flash. However, he locates it and kicks its ass but good, Snapper soon driving up to congratulate him on his victory.
Man, I never saw anything like that before! It was far out!
That finished off Starro's third agent. Now to see about the people Starro had under its mental domination. Come on, Snapper, into your hot rod. We're moving. Thank God you came out here, Snapper, so you could do nothing. Back in town, the Flash talks to Snapper's family, who recall being under Starro's hypnotic control, and thus they know where it was telling them to go, to a nearby town called Turkey Hollow. And with that name, this has now officially become a Thanksgiving episode. Flash recalls the rest of the League to Turkey Hollow, bringing Snapper with him. He figures they can determine how Snapper was immune to the mind control and use that to their advantage. Surprisingly, my nitpick about the other deputy shooting atomic rays is answered. That each deputy that was killed transferred all of its energy to the next starfish, who in turn transferred that and the knowledge of the scientists from the Science Center to the third, who finally transferred those and the information that it can control people's minds to the actual Starro. Not sure how the hell they transfer energy like that, but whatever. Starro now says that it plans to have humanity explode all of their atomic bombs so it can bathe in the energy and grow stronger.
With enough nuclear power in me, I can travel on to other worlds. This is my first attempt to conquer a world.
Then how did you get to Earth in the first place?
I had to test the powers of these humans by using 3 agents. Now that I have succeeded, I can conquer the universe!
All of your agents got defeated fairly easily. You want to take it easy there, Alexander the Great? The Justice League reunite and attack Starro, letting Green Lantern lead the charge given how he was able to defeat it with one shot before. But with its mind-reading powers, Starro detects that his ring doesn't work on yellow, so it changes its color to overcome the beam. It shoots a ray at the Flash, but misses and hits Snapper instead. The world's greatest heroes, everybody! They let the civilians come this close to the battle! However, as Flash notes, the beam has no effect on Snapper at all. While Wonder Woman and Martian Manhunter distract Starro, Flash has Green Lantern scan Snapper to see what's different about him. They detect that he's covered in lime, which he had been using on his lawn earlier. Not sure how that protects against the atomic rays Starro was shooting, but yeah, they realize that much like GL's yellow weakness, Starro can't affect lime. As such, there is a convenient farm nearby that they're able to take some lime from and coat Starro in it. We'll pay the farmers for their lime later. Batman's gotta love being in the League, keeps him from his work in Gotham, and when he finally does show up, it's to write a check. And just to be certain, Flash goes to a chemical supply warehouse to get even more. There's no kill like overkill, and they completely coat Starro in the stuff until it hardens up around it. Strangely enough, the final page of the comic is only about 60% of the page, with the bottom filled with a legal disclaimer, probably to distract us from the final 2 panels. And so our comic ends with, well, Snapper being elected an honorary member of the Justice League in appreciation of his help. So Snapper Carr gets to be in the league, but not Peter the Pufferfish? Frickin' bigots! I don't think this is just some PR thing. They give him a signal device, and Snapper Carr would basically go on to become a recurring part of the book. At least when Johnny Thunderbolt hung out with the Justice Society, he had a superpower. Snapper Carr's ability is to snap his fingers. He didn't actually contribute anyway. It's just a coincidence that he had Lyme on him that made him immune. By that logic, a professional gardener should be in the league. Despite that bizarre ending with Snapper, this comic is a classic with good artwork, a suitable threat to take on the league, and overall, just an enjoyable superhero romp that shows off the talents of its stars. The actual origin story for the group would come 2 years later in Justice League of America #9. The League joined forces because of a group of aliens that came to Earth. Their emperor had just died, and their custom was for anyone who wanted the seat of power to duke it out on some other planet to prevent harming their own world. Earth was to be that battlefield, transforming people and animals into their servants to help. Each member of the League fought one of the aliens, with them coming together to fight against one that could change people to wood. That power was actually so great, it affected them before it even emerged from the spot where it landed. It was only through the group working together that they could overcome that power. Superman faced off against an alien who could change things into diamond, which he defeated by rubbing it until it turned into coal. Snapper Carr, who's being relayed the story, is the one who asks the important question of how the hell you turn diamond back into coal. Quite simply, Snapper, I simply rubbed the diamond being the wrong way.
Of course! Don't you know anything about science?
It was actually Batman who suggested they form together as a group, surprisingly enough.
We ought to form a club or society.
A league against evil.
Actually, I was thinking more like a band.
Anyway, that's it for the Justice League. Next time, the last Patreon-sponsored review for the year with the first 4 episodes of Kamen Rider 4Z. Now to go figure out who the hell I got married to.
And I believe that if we stayed together as a team, we would be a force that could truly work for the ideals of peace and justice.
What? Like a bunch of super friends?
More like a Justice League.